We have seen $56 million in Bitcoin liquidations, with 62.85% being short positions and 37.15% being long positions, Binance being the exchange with the most amount of liquidations at $20 million. In today's video, we're going to be jumping down into the technical analysis on BTC, taking a look at what's been going on most recently and what I think is likely to happen next. We're going to kick things off with the 1 hour time frame, so let's jump right down into it. So here we can see that we have Bitcoin paired up with USDT, and we actually saw a lot of volatility yesterday. So we did see a move to the downside, which was a great opportunity. This was our wave 4, and then of course we've had this move to the upside where we're estimating our target range to kind of be between the $42,396 to $42,791. Now this is something that we were talking about with our members on our member AMA yesterday. This was something that we were not talking about in yesterday's video. So if you are a member, you'll know that we're in the live stream. We were talking about basically this area of 42,396 to 42,791. And well, we had this wick right here and it moved right up into that range, tapping just above that 1.236 fib level, kind of looking to complete it there. Now, the structure to this is an internal kind of diagonal structure. So there's no reason to think that this is now a requirement to push up any higher. And so following on from yesterday's video, we're kind of taking a look at this fifth wave move here, completing. That was our wave 3 right up here. And then, of course, we're looking to this move to the downside. And yeah, so we basically complete the move to the downside. We bounced up into that fifth wave, and now we are looking at finishing this correction. This is corrective at the moment. So again, I'm expecting a bounce upwards and then a more continuation to the move to the downside. I'm not expecting this move to continue to go down here. All I'm thinking is that we actually have to move up before we can move on down. Taking a look at the charts here. Now, if we go ahead and scale out what we're looking for within this correction, we bounced up to this area here. We will be looking for basically coming down to these EMAs and SMAs. So basically, let me pull this into the correct line right here on that 50 EMA, you can see it right there, 40,952 to $41,135, right? So we can see here that our 3-wave correction would approximately be this area. Now, the thing with this is our minimum expectations have already been met. We don't have to come down any lower, right? It's nice to kind of think that we can come down any lower, but we do not have to come down into this range. Instead, because of our minimum expectations being met already, we can, of course, rally back up again. And I'm looking at this interesting zone right here as our upper area of resistance. Let me show you what that looks like. This wick, and then pull it across here. This is the upper area of resistance. Okay, this is coming in at $41,914 to $42,154. So right here is the area that we're looking at for this this next area of resistance, right? So everything's actually kind of played out quite nicely at the moment. So my expectations here are that we come back up to this range and then we come on down into this lower range between $40,946 and $41,142. Okay, so on our hourly chart, we're kind of seeing some volatility, right? We kind of see some interesting kind of moves that we've seen to the upside. We've seen a lot of liquidations, and we are moving on down into these kind of lower ranges. So everything on this 1 hour time frame is playing out quite nicely. Now, our stochastic RSI is heavily oversold, but it has been heavily oversold for a while now. It's actually since the 4th of December, about 3 p.m. And obviously right now we're the 5th of December and I'm recording this at 8 a.m. UTC. So we can see here that we don't have to kind of, continue this move to the upside. This can be oversold for quite a significant period of time in the way that we were overbought for quite a significant period of time. It's interesting though. Let's take this out towards our daily time frame. Okay, on our daily time frame, we can see here that we have started to basically finish off this fifth wave. I think we are done with our expanding diagonal on our daily time frame, reaching this upper area. Like I said yesterday, we had this real big area of resistance at 42,976 to 45,456, and we haven't tapped into that. So if I'm wrong about completing this fifth wave, I don't think there's going to be a huge push higher than this. This is an upper area of resistance that we could see before. So I do think we kind of have finished this, but if we haven't, then there's only really a tiny little bit more left in the tank there. We are overbought on the daily stochastic RSI, as you can kind of see down here. And again, if I actually make this a little bit bigger, you can kind of see here, we're overbought on the monthly, weekly, daily. If we take this down to a 20-hour, you can see it's overbought, 16-hour, overbought, 12-hour. If it will load, should be overbought. Overbought on the 12-hour, 8-hour time frame here is just coming down from the overbought. The 4-hour is coming down towards the oversold, and the hourly is oversold. So across the board there, it's very, very interesting on all of those time frames. Now, if I take the stochastic RSI off and throw the divergence indicator in, we were talking about the hidden bullish divergence here that kind of got flagged up on the 21st of November. And as you can see, on the 21st of November, we saw a very, very good run to the upside. And yeah, we basically saw a really good run, actually. Let's get that percentage in there. So we saw this percentage, 19.05% on Bitcoin, okay? And so we haven't got any other divergences being noticed here on the daily time frame, but it's one to keep an eye on for sure. So volume wise, we can see a little bit of green volume here, but ultimately our volumes are still looking very sus. We can see here that volumes are on the decrease. Now, if we do go ahead and take that as a trend line here, this is a breakout situation on the volume side, but ultimately volumes are still decreasing. Okay, so volumes are decreasing as price is increasing. And so we do have that divergence. Okay, so price goes up and volumes go down. Okay, so it's interesting to kind of get a good idea as to kind of what that might mean. Ultimately, for me, when volumes are decreasing and price is increasing, it's usually a telltale sign that things are about to get a reversal in the market. So for me, I think the indication there is quite clear that not only do we have Elliott wave theory telling us we come towards an end of a structure, but we can also quite clearly see that there are lower volumes whilst price is pushing up higher. These divergences are not to be ignored. So ultimately, as we kind of see here, Bitcoin's price pushed up into that fifth wave movement. Volumes are actually a little bit higher than they were previously. Stochastics are nice and high. Ultimately, I'm expecting a bigger push to the downside on BTC. Take it to the weekly time frame. And on this weekly time frame, you can see that we're pushing the upper end on the trend line. And you can also note here that we are up in that equilibrium, right? Essentially, this equilibrium area is an area that you typically would find resistance. Now, ultimately, this is a 50% level between your premium and your discount ranges from a kind of Fibonacci point of view. It actually doesn't look like it's 50%. So, nonetheless, this equilibrium area is of immense interest. Usually this is where you find support or resistance. In this particular case, the rally to equilibrium would be an area of resistance. So we have our upper trend line, we have equilibrium, and ultimately we will be looking for a move to the downside from here. Now, obviously, I'm not necessarily saying we're going to move straight down. I think there's going to be lots of support to be found here on the weekly time frame. The points of interest or areas of reference that I think are really important for us are coming in right here. Okay, 30,330 to 31,818. That's going to be an immense area of interest for me. This previous area right here as well is also interesting at 36,000 to 37,000, but I don't think that's going to hold personally. So we have that initial one there. Then, of course, we have to come down a little bit deeper. And it's going to be right in this little sweet spot here, basically 24,756 to 26,878. That's going to be an interesting zone. And then over here, we can see that we have this interesting point of reference as well, 19,569 to 21,789. Again, so we can see that there's a few areas of support to be found as we think about corrections. Now, if we think about this, our trend line right here is on this area of interest at 30,330 to 31,818. That's going to be my first kind of major kind of area to look for support. Find this trend line as support, bounce from it. Probably find this upper area here at that 37,000 as potential resistance right up here. And then I think eventually we lose that trend line coming down towards the fair value gap in this lower range as well. So I think there's a lot of things to kind of be keeping an eye on when it comes to Bitcoin. There's a lot of hope that maybe we can find find good support and just continue to rally to the upside. But for the most part, my expectations here are that we've kind of exhausted this move to the upside. And although there's a lot of kind of hopium around spot ETFs and things like that, ultimately, I don't think that's going to be as positive as people believe it's going to be. Ultimately, these things are going to take a significant period of time from approval to actually launching a product. So I still think that a Bitcoin spot ETF approval essentially is a sell the news event, and everything else that's happening right now is just basically loading up those positions before you start to see that big downturn, and basically a lot of profit being taken off the table. So from our weekly chart here, I think we've got some interesting kind of points of reference to be focusing in on. We are heavily overbought along with the monthly and the daily. So from the macro standpoint, we are looking for corrections to the downside on BTC. So I think, though, guys, that's going to kind of wrap up today's video. If you have found it useful and informative, smash that like button. I do appreciate that. If you are new to the channel, why not go ahead and subscribe, tap the bell, select all the notifications, and in doing so, you will be kept up to date with everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. If you haven't yet joined us in Discord, what are you waiting for? Check it out. Link is in the description down below. Until the next one, though, guys, have a fantastic day.